We're going to go buy a houseboat in the Keys.
Yeah,
So we're going to sell it. So it's got to be fixed. A houseboat.
Well, okay, you guys. Would you guys introduce yourselves? Because I don't know much about you. We just met. Right?
Yeah.
They're going to play today in lieu of our course meeting, and they're bringing wonderful news around the country and spreading love.
Yep, that
Is
pretty
that
much
right?
sums it up.
That's good.
And practicing forgiveness.
Amen. So, take it away.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks everyone for joining us for our impromptu concert and gathering. Tamra and I are on kind of a 3-month tour. We've been practicing A Course in Miracles for quite some time and feeling guided to really put it into practice in some very kind of spontaneous and unconventional ways, I would say. We were both guided to go out and volunteer in a monastery. There's a Course in Miracles monastery out in Utah. Some of you may have heard of David Hoffmeister. He's a Course in Miracles teacher who, for about 35 years, has been just really devoting his life to the experience of enlightenment, the experience of forgiveness, and going where he feels guided and invited to share how practical the Course can actually be. And when I first heard about him, I had heard that he basically left his house in 1991 and felt guided by Jesus to just start traveling without really knowing where he'd be going. And he would show up at course groups and just, the Spirit would kind of share messages through him. And he was very, very shy, so it was quite uncomfortable for him. And he didn't know how he would be provided for. He didn't have any money, any kind of organizational support or anything like that. But he just knew that he was supposed to follow his heart and follow this inner calling. And he was shown over a period of about 5 years that if he followed the guidance he was hearing, and if he put this purpose of forgiveness out front, then everything he needed, practically speaking, would be provided. People would just show up and say, "Hey, do you want to stay with me tonight?" Or, "Hey, do you need me to fill up your car with gas?" Or, he was like, "Gosh, this is blowing my mind." And he was always in conversation with Jesus too, like, how is this going to work out? And what am I going to do if I get to a place and nobody offers me a place to stay? And Jesus would just say, "Don't worry, I've got the whole thing planned out. You just need to trust me." And I and Tamra and many others like us have been so inspired by his example that we've really just said, okay, how does this really work practically speaking? And back in 2009, I had a career and I had a house and I had I'd say a pretty normal life, but it started to feel very heavy to me. I wanted to feel like I was following my heart and not just trying to make a living, not just kind of getting by and surviving. And so I was guided to, after many years of feeling the stress building up, I finally kind of hit that breaking point, and I decided to leave my career and basically hit the road and be like a traveling minstrel and just go kind of like David did, go where I felt I was being called or invited, and just give my whole life over to Spirit and say, I don't know my own best interests, you be in charge. And I'm going to do my best to practice listening to your voice. And really, I love how the Course says, I can escape from this world by giving up attack thoughts. And so that's really the only thing that's in the way of our peace of mind and of an experience of total freedom is we have all these attack thoughts running in our mind. Judgments about other people, judgments about ourselves, a lot of reasons why we don't think that we will be provided for. There's this deep sense of, I would say, ontological guilt that we all feel around believing that we actually separated from God, which of course is impossible, because how can you separate from that which is everywhere? And yet, the ego is the belief that we have separated from God, and not only that, but that we can never go back. or if we try to go back, God will kill us. And that's a core belief that all human beings have. But in the chorus, he's really saying there's a way out, that there is freedom that's possible, and it requires a willingness to really allow your attack thoughts to come to the surface and then be handed over to Spirit to be released, which is forgiveness. So Tamra and I have been practicing this in a very devoted way for many years, and about 3 months ago, she approached me and said, you know what, we've been friends for about 2 years. She said, I'm feeling inspired to go on a tour with you and just kind of hit the road and bring the guitar and go wherever we feel guided and just put out the word that we're going to be on the road and just see what happens. And she said, I saved up a little bit of money, so if we have to, we can stay in hotels occasionally or go camping, but let's just go see what happens. And at first I thought, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I've been kind of doing that actually for many years, but at this point I was having some fear come up. And then I just kind of went a bit deeper, and I felt a strong yes finally. And so we left Northern California in mid-March and just began to go where we felt guided. We first went south, and then we started heading east. We went through Sedona and Colorado and all the way up to this area. And next we're going to be going further east, all the way to Rockland, Maine. We have a workshop we're doing over there. And then down, we might go to the big conference in Boston that's happening at the end of May. We don't really have the money to pay for the conference, but we thought maybe we'll just go and sit in the lobby and have holy encounters with everybody, because those conferences are great opportunities just to hang out with other course students and practice forgiveness. So we're really glad to be here right now, because this came in pretty spontaneously as well. Our friend Erik here just reached out to us on Facebook and said, I'd love to host you guys, and maybe we can have a gathering. And then he reached out to Randall here, and it's just, that's how it's been the whole way. We've just been kind of following the invitations and trusting that there are no chance encounters, that all of these meetings are very, it's like they're set up, they're part of the divine plan, and if we just keep saying yes and facing any fears that arise and following that tickle in the heart, then everything will work out the way it's meant to. So I think tonight is going to be, or today, we usually do this in nighttime, so I say tonight. But I think we're just going to share some songs with you, and also share a little bit in between the songs about how we've been practicing forgiveness and how we apply the Course, not only on the tour, but in our relationship. We've been in an intimate relationship as well. And wow, intimate relationships can bring up a lot. All relationships can bring up a lot of forgiveness opportunities, especially when you're on the road in a car for like 8 hours straight, and having to deal with driving preferences and food preferences, and then staying with different people every night. And it's been quite a ride. We've had a lot of opportunities to really just face the ego in our own mind and say, okay, this is very humbling. I thought I'd gone pretty far with A Course in Miracles. I thought I was pretty darn good at forgiveness, but wow, I can see I still have quite a lot of work to do. So, yeah, I think we'll share some music, but maybe you can share a little bit about your experience so far on this tour and with the Course.
Yeah, I was very inspired when I first heard about David Hoffmeister because of the traveling on total trust thing, and so I always had it in the back of my mind that, like, wouldn't that be cool? Because I just knew intuitively that it would really help in the development of trust, and also inner listening, which that's the name of our tour, is Inner Listening, a guided tour of the heart. And so yeah, I think there was when I first heard about it, like, the minute that spark came alive in my own heart, Spirit was like, okay, that is going to happen, but we got some work to do. And I've been kind of in the development of trust ever since then, which that was about 4 years ago. And it really has. It's just been amazing. I put a post the other day on Facebook, because it's just been, it just continues to blow my mind, the the giving it over part, you know, and then like the realizing where I'm still trying to manage, and going deeper and deeper into what do I do? Like what's going to happen here? Can you help? And then just seeing these, you know, we've just had times where we'll be at a house or something and not even really know whether we're supposed to stay in that house one more day or we're supposed to leave the next day, and then we just kind of say, okay, Spirit, like we don't know what to do. I always say, like, we're just kids. Help. And make it obvious, please. And then, like, the host will come in 3 minutes later and say, so we've got somebody coming to the house to meet you guys tomorrow. And we'll just kind of look at each other like, well, there it is. That's obvious. And, yeah, just going deeper and deeper into this practice of, like, I need help. I can't awaken myself. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what would be the most healing. I don't know what would take me closer to you. So, yeah, just learning to trust more and more that I need do nothing, actually, that it is actually about strengthening this relationship and knowing that just like a little kid, I am completely scooped up, and that I can relax into that and be like a child and know that all I have to do is ask, and even ask for the miracle, ask for something to be made obvious, ask for something to be shown, ask for help in seeing him as the Christ. Like, it's just been an amazing experience of, you know, I always say sometimes we have to like throw our hat over the wall and kind of leave the comfort zones in order to just see how supported and taken care of and loved we are, because we don't know that when we're, you know, everything's seemingly safe and we don't have that many chances to see it every day. And so this has just been like a deepening experience, and I knew that intuitively when we set out. And that's really the prayer of my heart, is to be so connected to that, you know, inner guidance that I'm just always in the flow, and it doesn't feel like there's a Tamra character who needs to figure things out or make decisions or anything. I just want to be connected to, you know, the path home. And I can't know what that's supposed to, like, I absolutely cannot know what that is going to look like or what that's supposed to look like. And so there's also a washing of the I know mind that's happening, because every time I get into the I know mind, not only is it super heavy and exhausting, but every single time I'm like, I don't know. I do not know, because if I go towards the direction of the I know mind, then it always seems to never work out.
The I know mind is what we call like the mind that thinks it already knows, you know, anything about this world. And really, Jesus is telling us in the Course, one of the lessons, I do not know what anything means. I do not know what anything is for. And so we need to really be humble in order to be guided, because if we think we know anything, then we're going to use our past learning to guide us and not really be open to guidance that kind of transcends the laws of the world, that might say, go left here, even though it doesn't seem practical, turn left. Trust me, there's something you're supposed to see, you know, and that's what we're really trying to practice here.
Yeah, that really hit me hard when you first said that I know mine. I was like, what? You know? Because I was like, the two things I noticed the most that are troublemakers in my thoughts are the teacher. You know, I'm imaginary conversations where I'm teaching somebody something, and the judger, imaginary conversations where that person is XYZ wrong, blah, 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 right? Yeah. Both times. Or the planner, right? It's like I'm designing what I'm going to do, and the outcomes are, like you allude to, usually disastrous.
Yeah, we have a lot of unwinding to do from that. I think I know what's good for me. I think I know my own best interests. And so that's really been the most beautiful thing. And then just a lot of healing in the relationship of just seeing that every time I project something onto him, it's something I don't want to face in myself, because I'm guilty or ashamed or horrified to look up on it. And then when I actually do look up on it, it's just like, I need a miracle. I'm holding on to this as a case against my own innocence. And in the beginning of the trip, I was getting triggered quite a bit. There was just so much projection onto him. And then over the last couple of weeks, I've had some really beautiful pops of like, whoa, this is not about him. This is the lens that I'm looking through. And when I can use it to see the small self, the lens of this small self, and I've got a real victim role thing that I've carried from relationship to relationship to relationship, and when I'm able to expose the thoughts that I'm having in this relationship, and he can just hold the space for that, then all of a sudden I'm able to see like, whoa, this is a self-concept that the lens I've been looking through for my whole life, and once it's seen, once it's brought up into awareness, and this is when my brother becomes my salvation, because he's only ever showing me the lenses that I'm still looking through that are hidden from my awareness. And so yeah, it's just been, we've given the relationship over to Spirit, we've given the tour over to Spirit, just because we want to heal. We want to heal, and we want to go home, and we want to see the things that we don't see, because these are the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, and that's really all the Course is about. Yeah. So we've kind of put ourselves in the fire of like, okay, I really want to see. I don't want this just to be a book I read or an intellectual understanding. Like I really want to see. I want to go deeper into the mind to see where there's healing that's still, to be had.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this message, the Course, it's kind of saying, come on, let's get out of here. Like this isn't our home, and there's a quickening happening. There's like a celestial speed up that's happening, and we can all feel that there's something stirring in our heart saying it's time to really start to take this Course to heart and stop just kind of compromising, stop messing around here. Like, let's really get down to the core of the practical aspect. It is really, really necessary, I think, to study the Course and to get really clear about it, about what it's saying, and get clear about the metaphysics, but only so that we can apply it. And whether we have been studying the Course for 20 years or for 20 minutes, it's like, apply what you know and do your best. Like, really give your heart over it to completely, and be willing to make mistakes too. We were just talking about today how when we make mistakes, that's actually helps us kind of learn faster. It's when we try to be perfect spiritual students and kind of be spiritual people and stay within the box that we're not really growing. We're sort of just kind of staying in a comfort zone. But this path, I've discovered for myself, is not, it's actually quite messy a lot of the time. A lot of emotions start to come up when you really give yourself over to God and say, I really want you to be in charge. I want the Spirit to guide my life. I want you to tell me what I'm supposed to do. I want to give up my I know mind and all my superiority and all my thoughts about thinking that I know what's best. I really want to be guided. Wow, the ego just, at one point in the Course, he says the ego will flip from suspicion to viciousness. It'll start to get vicious, and you'll feel intensity and a lot of intense emotions, and that's what we experience a lot when we go to the monastery. There's this David's monastery out in Utah is a place where people can volunteer and for a couple weeks or more and really be around a lot of others who are also practicing forgiveness. And it can be quite intense, because when you're with others who are also really trying their best to be as authentic as possible, two of the guidelines that we practice there are no private thoughts and no people pleasing. So it's really like there's kind of like an underlying agreement that we're not going to just try to be spiritual and be nice and be friendly. We're just going to try to be as authentic as we can. And yes, there is this kind of face of innocence that we have grown accustomed to wearing, where we kind of look like a nice person. We can seem like I'm an innocent person, and and go about like looking spiritual. But underneath it is this really dark, murky ego self that we don't really like to get in touch with. We don't even like to admit that it's there. But at the monastery, we really just give ourselves permission to let it come up, not to like act it out, but just to let it come up.
Without hide or protect it.
Without protecting it, without trying to kind of cover it over. And it's scary. The ego does not want to be exposed. So we just try to be gentle with ourselves. And I thought we could play a song about that, your song, I Got You, because it can be really intense. And sometimes we seem to go through these kind of dark nights of the soul, so to speak, where we're facing a lot of the really deep core issues. Maybe traumatic memories from childhood are coming up, or maybe it's like all that stuff needs to be forgiven and released. But when it's coming up, then we really need a hand to hold on to. We need to know that we're loved. We need to have oftentimes an actual person there who can hold the space for us and say, it's okay, I've been there, I know what you're going through, and it's all going to be okay. So this is a song that Tamra wrote when she was going through a kind of a period of darkness at this other property near the monastery, and I was there with her, and she brought this song to me, and she had just been kind of hearing the lyrics, and then I was guided to help her put music to it. So. Once upon a time I was unraveling so much darkness I could hardly see. I went to sleep one night and you spoke to me. The words that you whispered changed everything. You said, I got you, don't worry about a thing. You said, I'm right here, it's only a dream. You said, I love you, there is nothing to fear. You've been lost in a nightmare, I'll take it from here. From that day forward, my life fell apart, but I didn't care, I just followed my heart. You held my hand and you walked me through it all. You were my guide as I answered the call. You said, I got you, don't worry about a thing. You said, I'm right here, it's only a dream. You said, I love you, there is nothing to fear. You've been lost in a nightmare, I'll take it from here. But once in a while, the fears still arise, and I can't hear you above all of the lies. So I quiet my mind and listen carefully, and in a matter of time, your words come back to me. I still got you, don't worry about a thing, I'm still right here. It's only a dream, I'll always love you, there is nothing to fear. Been lost in a nightmare, I'll take it from one by one, right before my eyes, miracles appear every day, a surprise. You go before me, handle everything. Life went from a nightmare to a happy dream. You said, I got you, don't worry about a thing. You said, I'm right here, it's only a dream. You said, I love you, there is nothing to fear. Been lost in a nightmare, I'll take it from here. You said, I got you, don't worry about a thing. You said, I'm right here, it's only a dream. I'll always love you, there is nothing to fear. Been lost in a nightmare, I'll take it from here. thought I'd share with you another song that I wrote back in around 2009. I mentioned how when I kind of took this leap of faith and I let go of my career and just said, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of songs started coming through me right after that. I started receiving songs that felt like they were downloads. And there's one called Already Home that I'm feeling to share right now because, yeah, it was so helpful for me to, I love the metaphysics of the chorus, basically saying that we actually haven't left heaven, that really we're still home in heaven, but we're dreaming of exile. You know, he says, you're still at home in reality, yet dreaming of exile, as if we're here, as if we're really in this world, when he's saying, no, you actually never have been in this world. You've never even incarnated into a body. What you are still is as God created you. You're still pure spirit, but it feels like you're a body. You have a very thick belief system that makes it seem very real, just like when you're dreaming at night and you have a dream that you're somewhere else entirely. It seems very real, it feels real, and yet when you wake up, you go, oh wow, that was just a dream. This song's called Already Home. I have tried to find my own way back home. I've learned it's pointless without a guide. I lost my way in the woods of confusion, in space and time. I lost myself inside my mind. In my fortunately, it's just in my mind. Love is the only answer to all the questions I have tried answering all by myself, which only made me tired. So tired. Tried to do it all myself. Now I'm tired, 'cause it's not so easy to lie to myself anymore. Something's calling me back to who I was before. Can I keep running away and relying on we were on the drive over here, and this idea came to me about, some of you may be familiar with the 12 Steps, the AA program, and Tamra's gone through that, and I never went through it, but I've just, over the years as I've been practicing the course, I've heard more and more about it, and then I finally started. I was with a friend in Los Angeles last year, and he took me to some AA meetings, and I just found it so heartwarming and uplifting to hear people sharing in a very authentic, very raw, very vulnerable way. And I thought, wow, that's what I need to start doing more of, is just being very authentic, at least with myself, about the fact that I have fear, I have doubt, I have guilt, I have shame. And, a lot of times, I think students of the course will get into a trap of just trying to use the lessons to sort of cover over that. Like, no, I am the Holy Son of God himself. I'm holy and complete. I have nothing wrong with me. And I think it's really helpful to know that, but I think the purpose of Jesus having those lesson titles is because he knows that when we hear those words, it's actually going to flush up its opposite. That it's going to flush up all that is not that. And then we have to actually go, wow, yeah, there's a lot of shame here. And just being honest about it and giving it up to Spirit is the key. And one of the, I don't know which of the steps in the 12 steps it is, but it talks about powerlessness. Maybe you can share what is that line, or do you remember the?
We admitted we were powerless.
We admitted we were powerless.
And that our lives had become unmanageable.
And that our lives had become unmanageable. That's a Course in Miracle prayer, I think, too. I mean, just to admit that as a human being, I am powerless over my awakening. I really have to surrender. There's a line in A Course in Miracles that says, you cannot wake yourself, yet you can let yourself be awakened. So it really requires a deep willingness to surrender to the Holy Spirit and say, or Jesus if you prefer, and say, I don't know how to get out of this maze of grievance, of attack, of guilt, of fear, but I'm willing, and that's really my only job. He in another section, he talks about how you may feel a little bit offended, like personally offended, at how small your part is compared to the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit is really doing everything for you, and your only part is to be willing. It's kind of like, I had this metaphor come to me years ago about, it's as if we're lying on a surgery table getting some kind of like brain surgery. Like the Holy Spirit is a doctor, a surgeon who's lobotomizing us from our ego. He's cutting out the ego part of our brain, so to speak. And we keep trying to take the scalpel from him and do it ourselves. And that is going to be a bloody mess. We have got to let go and say, okay, I don't know the way. I don't know how to do this at all. But I'm willing. I'm willing to let you guide me. I'm willing to let you, just really be in charge of everything. And my job is simply to be willing.
Yeah, and the second step came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. It's like, that's another part. Our only part is to actually admit that we're insane. I'm actually insane. And when I'm not actually willing to fully let that in, then then I would never turn it over to the one that could restore me to sanity. Yeah. We're insane. We believe we're people. We believe we're tiny little...
We believe, not only we believe we're people, we believe we're smart people. We're twice removed from reality.
Right. Yeah, fill in the blank person, ... person. I'm a nice person.
Yeah, I heard...
I'm a successful person.
I heard Ken Wapnick once say that it's funny how in the whole Course in Miracles, Jesus never once refers to us as adults. He uses the word babies, he uses the word children, he uses the word toddlers. He never even uses the word teenager. So, yeah. And if anyone has any thoughts they feel or questions or anything you feel to share, that this is very interactive. We always feel like our gatherings are very just kind of open-ended. So yeah, we're open to just kind of having this be very informal. And I just really love sinking into that experience of I am powerless. My life has become unmanageable. It really is. All of our lives, we often will think that we're on top of things, that we're doing a good job, and yet that's just another trick. It's like the ego's sitting back in the sidelines going, ha, 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 ha. Gotcha. You think you're a happy human being, and yet the Spirit knows we will never be happy until we've remembered that we're not a human being, that we're spirit, and that we're infinite and eternal and whole and invulnerable. Otherwise, there's always going to be this fear.
Do you ever find yourself reading the Course and all of a sudden you realize it's your ego just reading the Course? Like, sometimes I just am reading the book and I have to put it down because I think I know what it means. Do you have that experience? Like, I catch myself like, I think I know what this means and like where it's going and what it's trying to teach me. And when I catch myself, which is not all that often, I think I probably do it more than I catch myself, right?
Yeah.
I just got to put it down and it's like, go right back to, I don't know what this is. There's just that something, someone, or some love is trying to help me. And I'm in the way. And I got to get out of the way. And I don't even know how to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Do you have that
Yeah, I remember, I feel like I couldn't have avoided that phase where it's almost like we have our intellect has been guiding us our whole life, and that we think that we can just learn what the rules are in the world and just abide by the rules in order to be happy. And then we come to A Course in Miracles. Even the title is tricky because it's like almost like Jesus knew he would have to trick us to get us to read it. He calls it a course as if it's something we have to learn, when really the essence of A Course in Miracles is that we have to unlearn everything. We have to unlearn all that we thought we knew about everything in this world. There's even a part in Lesson 189 that says, forget this world, forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands unto your God. So it's very humbling. It's like, wow, he kind of tricked me. I thought that I was going to be learning, and then I thought I could just master this course and learn it really well, so that, and then oftentimes we think, well, then I can become a teacher of the course, and I can do seminars, and I'll write books about the course, and I'll be a famous Course in Miracle teacher. And he's going, well, it's okay if you want to do that, but really, you got to go beyond that ultimately. You got to finally see that the only way you're going to be happy is when you're 100% humbled, when you realize you don't know anything about anything. Our friend David Hoffmeister has this phrase he likes to use, which is, the way to be in this world, to be happy, is to be clueless, carefree, and cared for. And that actually when we are cared for, it's just that we don't know it. So we have to be clueless in order to recognize, to actually begin to learn that we are being cared for. As long as we think we know how to take care of ourselves, then we're just going to keep doing the things we've always done, and life will be pretty predictable and ritualistic and boring. But when we start to just take little baby steps, at least in the beginning, and say, okay, I don't know what to do right now. I'm willing to ask for guidance. That's when miracles can start occurring. That's when we can have shifts in our mind where instead of just operating on the kind of the robotic, habitual patterns, we can be given guidance that might be something different. We might intuitively feel that we're supposed to do something else, and then we're shown that, wow, I didn't actually know my own best interest. There was a higher plan that was designed to make me happier, and then that starts to build our trust. So yes, I've had that experience so many times where I can read the Course and I feel like it's not really coming alive for me. It just feels like an intellectual exercise. And sometimes that's just where I'm at. Sometimes I can feel like, well, I'm very addicted to my intellect still, and that's okay. I know that Jesus will ultimately free me from that, but I'm going to kind of take myself off the hook and just do what I feel like I want to do. So it's a fine line between, kind of just doing what I want, and then noticing when there's fear, and then sometimes whenever I'm willing, being, just taking the pause and praying for guidance and asking for help. That's what saves me when the fear comes up.
That's a beautiful image. You said take myself off the hook, and I saw myself hanging on a meat hook. You know, I'm doing sacrifice, right? I'm suffering because that will bring the atonement. You know,
Right.
right? I forget that.
Yeah.
You know, just to allow myself to feel the forgiveness
Yeah.
for my habitual, addicted, wrong choices.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all doing the best we can, and the ego would love to take on all of this as more stuff to feel guilty about, which is really the exact opposite of what the healing is just like, oh, I don't have to prove anything, I don't have to try to get anything right. We're so programmed, and it's so deep in the mind, this like, oh God, I gotta get this right, and we don't even realize like how like not peaceful that is actually. So for me, it's been a lot of like really, I grew up in a very devout religion, and even took on spirituality as another thing to just feel bad about all the time. And right before I picked up the course this time, a few years back, I almost was like, screw this whole spiritual path, man. This has only made me feel worse. Like now I have a whole bunch of new stuff to feel guilty and bad and wrong about. You know, I'm not kind enough. I'm not feeling loving enough. I still have judgment thoughts. It was just like, holy crap, I'm just going to go hang out at the bar or something just to like be able to just cope because the spiritual thing isn't working. And then I just started to realize that it's the exact opposite what Jesus is calling me into. It's actually it's a relaxation where I realize that I don't have to get anything right. I can just relax and be gentle, be very, very gentle with myself and how it goes, and know that whatever I'm doing it the best I can. I don't have to use these lessons in this book to beat myself up with. Like if I still want to take aspirin, I'm not a body, you know, like, I mean, come on. Like there's nothing gentle about that. Like it's okay, you know, and I feel like I'm hearing that voice more and more. And even just when I, you know, before a gathering or whatever, just like sit with Spirit and go, I'm scared. And the minute that I can actually allow myself to kind of just be human, that's when I feel this rush of love. Like, it's okay, I got you. It's okay. But when I'm trying to be all like a good little spiritual girl for God, I can't feel that love at all. It's
Yeah.
Don't you have a song, the first word is relax?
No.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that actually, because she said it. Yeah, I
I just
thought,
got your CD.
Ah.
I just love it.
thank you. Yeah, that really is it. Just relax. That's all there is to do, and drop just drop everything. Yeah, maybe we can all just take a moment here, and I'll play this song, and just notice any tension you're holding on to. And just be willing to see if it'll dissolve. And oftentimes we try to keep it together. You know, it's like we always are trying to keep it together and kind of hold yourself together. You know, but now this is a journey about letting ourselves fall apart. It really requires that we're willing to just trust that if we fall apart, there will be something else that will come in to save us every time. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have emotions come up. And we really are like babies, and we just need to let go. We need to really just relax. Just relax and go slow. no need to hurry, for there are no monsters chasing you. Just be still and let go. There's no need to worry, and there's nothing that you really need to do. Take time to look inside, for I can promise you there's nothing about yourself you need to hide. Take off the mask and let the light shine on your innocent face. You've never done anything wrong. There's nothing scary to protect yourself from. Your nightmares are over, you don't need to run. Just open your eyes and see there's nothing to fear. All of your nightmares have long disappeared. It seems a long time ago that you dreamed you'd left home and wandered outside in the cold all alone. You tried to make do with all your substitutes, but they could not erase the pain of forgetting the truth. Well, it's still in your heart, yes, it's still in your soul. Just take off your heavy armor and let it go. And listen to me while I sing you this song. Your friends are all here and your nightmares are gone. There's nothing scary to protect yourself from. Your nightmares are over, you don't need to run. When you open your eyes, you'll see there was nothing to fear. All of your nightmares had long disappeared. So just relax and go slow. There's no need to hurry, for there are no monsters chasing you. Right here and right now, you can be at peace. Only love is all around. So just let that in. No need to clap or anything. Just listen. And notice the feelings under the surface. Notice any feelings that are there that feel unlike love. Anything that's in the way. Can you hear the song playing silently everywhere? It's hard to hear if you're listening only with your ears. Can you see the light shining endlessly through your mind? It's hard to find if you're looking only with your eyes. Can you smile the smile that lightens up the world for a while? Don't try, it will come naturally when you're inspired by the love inside. Can you see that we're imprisoned only by our beliefs? We are free anytime we choose to be. If you take my hand, we'll rise together from this foreign land and see that we never need to think nor plan. We must only decide that we'll be happy once we made up our mind. Walking faster only slows you down. Just be patient, keep your feet on the ground. Can you feel the love? It's all around to help you rise above all the pain and fear you've been dreaming of. It's alright to just let go and simply fall in love. Can you hear the song playing silently everywhere? It's right here, singing softly that there's nothing to fear. I love that one. I feel like when I'm playing, I feel like I'm just going into this experience and just being the instrument myself and being played. More like I'm the guitar and being played. Yeah.
I have an appointment I have to get to, but I wanted to thank you. This
Yeah.
is beautiful.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for
I was able to
coming.
stop in.
Yeah, glad you came. yeah, we're just so grateful for these opportunities, and yeah, I don't know. It just feels like I just feel grateful that by some sense of grace, I've been guided to take these little leaps of faith over and over again that have led me to this point where now I feel like I just want to keep going. Like there's a certain momentum to it where okay, God, I'm ready for the next one. I don't want to just camp out. You know, even on this tour, like doing these gatherings, I've been thinking, well, you know, I could probably make a career out of this. I could probably kind of be have like a traveling minstrel career and kind of start to kind of make it into some solid thing. But even the idea of career is it's just a time idea. It's like trying to create some kind of, you know, safety in the future. And I want to remain clueless. I want to really stay in the I don't know mind and be open to, I don't know, tomorrow maybe I'll be guided to just go find a mountaintop to sit on, you know, tomorrow and just be there. And I don't know, it feels exciting to stay in that place and to notice all the little ways in which I compromise. Notice the ways in which I'm just playing small and acting a certain way just for fear of consequences. So, yeah, I don't know how much time we have left, but I just want to thank you all right now for joining me in this this space, this prayer of Spirit, lead me to where I'm meant to be.
It's delightful, very, very inspiring. Right? And you're even describing that last little bit of tension there about, you know, do I become, you know, I was going to say it's a great ministry you're having here, but if you get caught up in the ministry, then the ego gets, so that's a great place just to go.
Yeah. I do not know my own best interests.
This moment is our miracle.
Yeah. By the
Only
way,
ever in this moment.
this book, by the way, is really incredible. If you're interested in going deeper with A Course in Miracles, David Hoffmeister, I think, is just such a pure teacher. I feel like he's actually transcended the ego entirely. Whether that's true or not, I don't really care. When he speaks, I can feel such purity and such love and such clarity. He has a lot of YouTube videos, but this book is full of other people just transcribed his talks and kind of took the best things and put them into this book with exercises on how to get in touch with your fears and release them. And yeah, if you're interested in going deeper, I recommend David. He's been such a role model.
What is the book?
It's called This Moment Is Your Miracle. We've been traveling with some copies of his book, so we have them on the table there for $15. But yeah, for us, it's just been a living experience of really looking at each other, too, because every time we get upset, it's oftentimes that we're projecting something onto the other or that we're feeling stuck or afraid. And Often, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't it always?
Yeah. Well, yeah, sometimes for me it can seem to be about other things, like I'm afraid of where we're going to sleep tomorrow night. So it's not always about her, but oftentimes the upsets that come up are about the relationship in very subtle ways. And so we practice really talking to each other, being authentic. One of the things this book goes into in one of the sections is private thoughts. And at one point in A Course in Miracles, Jesus says, you have no private thoughts. And yet, it is of this that is the only thing that you're aware of. All you really are aware of is all these private thoughts in your mind. And yet, he's really saying that ultimately they're not there. They're these hallucinations. So we practice at the monastery I mentioned and with each other, just exposing our private thoughts. Like I hate the way you're driving right now. Or, why are you such a pig? Why did you have to get that extra helping of whatever? Or, just...
Or I want to kill you.
Yeah, or I feel like I want to kill you right now.
That's right, too.
Yeah. But it feels so freeing when you just say it and it's not taken personally.
It really does. And then the other, because we're not trying to hold on to the relationship. We're actually just trusting that we can be totally authentic with each other. And if the relationship is meant to end, if it gets too intense, then okay, we're just gonna trust that there's a higher plan. But we're not gonna try to hide our heart from each other. We're gonna really put our thoughts on the line and be willing to lose everything. I love how even in the Bible Jesus said, those who try to save their life will lose it. and those who are willing to give up their life in the name of Christ will gain everything. So it's kind of like you have to be willing to look at how there's protection, and I have to be willing to look at how I'm always trying to protect my life, and yet in those moments when I go, okay, I don't know my own best interests, and I have to be willing to lose everything for this purpose of awakening, then things always go way better than I thought they would. Have you ever seen the movie Imagine That with Eddie Murphy? He plays this like kind of high roller financial stockbroker, and his daughter is this young, really beautiful girl who has imaginary friends, and they're like her Holy Spirit characters, and they start giving her guidance for her father. And so she goes to her father and she goes, my guidance told me that company that you're going to buy is actually about to poop their pants. And he's like, oh, really? Okay, well, that's interesting. And he just kind of dismisses her. But then the next day, that company that he thought was going to be a good one to buy ends up being exposed for fraud or something like that. And, oh, yeah, they pooped their pants, all right. Or the poop was exposed or whatever it was. And then he starts following the guidance. But then at the end of the movie, he has to be willing to just let go of his whole career, and yet by letting it go, he's given a promotion. And I just keep seeing how when we're willing to let go of everything, we're given way more than we could have expected. So it really works. Course in Miracles really works.
I think I've learned more here just in this time with everything you've shared, your words and your songs. I'm kind of new to A Course in Miracles, but I've learned more in this hour than I've learned in a year just from what you've brought to us today. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Are you guys keeping a journal about your experiences? Because sometimes when I read the Course, it's like, now how does that apply in real life? And to be able to learn that, see that, like I struggle with projection a lot, like and those kind of concepts. Are you keeping a journal?
Yeah, we're both keeping separate journals of just like stuff that's coming up, and then we have a miracle journal.
Right, we would write down all the amazing things that have been happening. Yeah, it hasn't really, it's more been, my journal has been more for me, like when I'm really struggling with stuff, I'll kind of write it down and try to listen for what the guidance might be and helpful thoughts. I don't know if I would publish all of it, because it's all like very private stuff, but yet, actually, none of it really should be private, so maybe I should publish it.
This book is really helpful, too, for what you're talking about, and also Kirsten Buxton's book, I Married a Mystic, because she really shares, they were doing a lot of travels with her and David, and she shares a lot about very specific stuff that was coming up for her as she was traveling, and then how she took it to spirit. It's really inspiring to see that it's like a real relationship that we're building here. So I can actually just like speak like I would in a real relationship. But what about this? Help me here. Like, I don't understand this. What does that mean? And yeah, we don't have to act like we understand any of it. It's very deep. We need a lot of help.
Yeah, and there's guidance coming to us all the time for all aspects of our life, not just like spirituality, like for our finances, what to eat, what to wear, who to be with, who to spend time with, our family, all these things that there is guidance available if we're willing to let go of our own ideas of how we should be in the world and just ask for help.
I think bringing up right back the journal keeping, and I was going to refer to that too, because I have the book and I've read it, but I haven't done any exercises. It's funny, I didn't even realize it, but I'm doing it like I've done doing the course too, where I started with the text and now I'm doing the workbook. But it's like an inspiration, and like this, just them being here and all of this has like been pointing, like it's guidance to me to like really like get back into writing. I mean, there's been other things that have happened before this too, that this is just a part of this, pushing me personally to like use journal, like basically to write, to have that be to use it as a tool, essentially.
Yeah, and there's a lot of resources in David's community, there's a big internet ministry where every Sunday there's these free online shows on YouTube where people are sharing how they're applying the Course to their specific problems. And there's a lot of tools too. There's like you know how on your iPhone how there's a thing called Siri, like you can go, hi Siri, directions to whatever. Well, they developed an app called Spiri. And it's an app where it says, how are you feeling? And you can type in, I'm feeling afraid or abandoned or lonely or whatever. And then it'll walk you through a process that can help you get to the core of it, like actually release it, get way down into the mind and get to what's really causing it. So,
they have online retreats as well at the beginning of every month, and you can just do them right from your living room. And this next weekend is on Being of True Service, and they're really powerful. There's usually like 100 to 150 people that show up. It's this software called Zoom. You can have meetings and you can see all the faces and have people. It's interactive, and they open it up for questions or concerns or things that are going on in your life. And yeah, I think we both found that the practical application is really where the rubber meets the road. It's just not a book you can just read. Actually, we need an experience of going deeper.
And we need examples, like you're saying, like hearing stories of how did you apply this in this situation. And
Do you care to say anything about your experience of the special versus the holy relationship?
It's a heavy topic.
Yeah, I mean, just in a nutshell, I would say that all of our relationships are special relationships. But in any moment, we can turn them into holy relationships. Just every moment that we go, okay, I don't know what these relationships are for. I'm willing to let you use them for my awakening. I'm willing, the moment we're willing to see someone as actually helping us get in touch with our own unconscious mind and our own grievances, in that instant it becomes a holy relationship. It becomes a relationship that's being used for a holy purpose. So, yeah, we really just, with each other, it's like there's specialness components that are being washed away through the practice of the Course with each other. It's like it's becoming more holy it's becoming holy on a more consistent basis. But all the relationships start off as being special.
Because it's a washing of, like David made it so clear and concise for me one time when he said, anytime you think you need something from another, it's a special relationship. And when you're only there to give, that's a holy relationship. And so we've been able to see through practicing this in the relationship that anytime we think we need something from the other, it's painful. It's so painful. It's like the treachery of specialness is so painful. And because we're willing to see that, instead of constantly project it, like happens in every other relationship I've been in, was just the object of my projection exercise the entire time. And so with this, it's like we can actually expose those thoughts. Like, I really think I need you to do this or that, or touch me more.
In order for me to be happy.
In order for me to be happy. And as long as that's in place, then I'm never going to be able to just be at peace and in that state of pure love with the other, which is really just in myself.
I really respond to you saying that's so painful, because so much of we're so armored, we don't really even know that we're having this pain.
Yeah.
And you start to wake up a little bit and, oh my God, it's overwhelming. And yet it's so beautiful because it's our teacher. It's like, oh, I'm doing this thing that is causing this separation, murderous thoughts, shutdown of life and love, and it's painful, Oh man, and it's like I don't want to gloss it over. I don't want to spiritualize it or say, oh, please take this pain away, or I'm going to say a mantra or something, to cover up this pain, because it's my teacher, it's my it's my friend, but I also don't want to identify with it as my, I sometimes call it my barbed wire tar baby. It's like this thing I hold on to that's my friend, my teacher, right? It's like, how do I differentiate between the indulgence and that pain and the natural awareness of that pain as my teacher, that, I am going down the wrong path, right? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like there's the pain as the teacher, and then there's the love of the pain as my ego-identified, not so good for me friend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, absolutely.
and it's the same with guidance. It's like, how do I know that the guidance is guidance? I don't usually know until after I've tried it.
Right.
And there's this, I think, for me anyway, there's this fine-tuning process, but I trip myself up all the time, thinking, this is guidance, or this is what I am naturally drawn to, and sometimes it's just passion that I'm drawn to, or trying to heal an old wound by doing the same solution over and over with a little different wrapper.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fine-tuning, and it requires a lot of patience and gentleness with ourselves. I mean, this is so new. It's like I'm trying to tune into the voice of Jesus or Spirit or God or whatever. Like, that's no small thing. And we find that this is a very common thing with course students, is they'll get into this real, mind clutch of trying to hear guidance, and that's coming from such a place of fear, or even trying to manage my own awakening. And when I actually can just relax, just like, okay, I mean, when do we usually hear guidance? When we're about to take a nap, when we're in the shower, when there's no notepad around anywhere.
When we've given up in desperation.
Right, when we just okay.
Yeah.
I know, it's like that, you were describing this grasping for guidance. I was like, that's a special relationship with the Holy Spirit.
I feel to play this song that came to me several months ago when I was in a hermitage, and I was starting to feel like there's so many layers of the ego. I feel like I've been on this journey for 10 years, and I keep going. It feels like I'm going deeper and deeper, and yet sometimes it feels like I hit a wall. It's so thick and so painful and so hard to go through that I can't even meditate. I can't even sit still. I'm so restless. And I decided to take a 10-day hermitage in this trailer and at the monastery. And while I was in there, I couldn't even sit down and meditate. I was always busy. I was trying to clean the place, or maybe find a book to read or watch a movie, or I had a laptop there. So I was always distracting myself, and I thought, this is ridiculous. I need to just sit down and face whatever this restlessness is. So the song suddenly came to me, and it's kind of about the vigilance that's needed, and also the admittance of my powerlessness, like in AA, the feeling that there is a lot of self-hatred that's under the surface that I'm not even aware of, and that's what I'm really up against. So. Take up all my time now to rest in you. You're the love within me and the love I'm within. Want to focus my attention on the things I know that I've heard you speaking from the depths of my soul. And I'm gonna just be silent when I cannot say is truthful when I need to pray, 'cause I know you're in me and that I'm in you, and I won't stop searching till I've broken through to your heart, to your life, to your endless love. I find. Open up my heart now and invite the pain that I know is within me, but that I pushed away. I wanna let it be exposed now to the light you shine, 'cause I know you love me still and tell me it's not mine. I feel a lot of self-hatred that I try to hide. I know I won't release it if I hold it inside. So I'm gonna use my time now to bring it all to you. And I won't stop till there's nothing left to break through in my heart, in my life, in my endless love that I believe I have lost. Can't go on living without living in you. So there's nothing that I need to do more than seek you inside. And I won't give up till I find. I won't give up till I find. Won't give up till I find all that you are, and all I am is you created me. I can't deny that I am falling in love, so I keep falling and trusting to catch me. Take up all my time now to rest in you. You're the love within me and the love I'm within.
That's the spot I'm in right there. And I can't seem to budge from it. It seems like I live with myself, and what I've been doing lately, like crazy, is making a lot of art journals, and they're all spiritual pictures and spiritual. It's collage and spiritual writings that touch my heart, and I'm just kind of compulsively doing this. I don't even put them away. I just keep same spot. But I thought, but how do I take the next step? And I feel like it's kind of compulsive, and I know what I want, but I don't feel I'm getting any closer.
Yeah, for myself at that point, I've started to feel like, God damn it, like I've got to get out of this. I'm stuck. I started to get really frustrated with it, and I felt like it almost like it had to just play its course. It had to get to a point where I was really, really frustrated and feeling kind of desperate. We have this song that we listen to in the car called Desperation, and it basically is saying that we all need to get desperate at times. That's the only way we're ever going to kind of break out. As long as we're kind of just comfortable in our life and thinking that everything's okay, then we're not really going to make much progress. But when we start to get desperate, when we start to feel like this is wrong, like something's wrong here, that's when the desire starts to get stronger.
And then what?
And then it's like, okay, well then what really lights me up? What do I want? What do I really want? If I could do anything in the world, if I could have anything at all, what like if I had a magic genie who could grant me 3 wishes, what would I wish for? And I think that's a really helpful exercise to get in touch with what would light me up. It doesn't have to be spiritual. It's like maybe I want to take a trip around the world, or maybe I want to learn to play guitar, or maybe I want to, go out more, or maybe I want to meditate more, or maybe I don't know, whatever it is, we just have to start to ask ourselves and get in touch with that's kind of what this book does. It's like helping us get in touch with what's inside that is unconscious to us, whether it's our fears or whether it's our hopes and our dreams, and say, help me to get in touch with this, and I need help. I really need help. I need to move on. It's like a fervent prayer that comes from a desperation.
Okay, because there's a little desperation. I do, a lot better as far as meditation. Even waking up spontaneously at 4:30 in the morning. I don't know what that's about, but it's working, and that's my best time to meditate. But I just so not you don't have to take any leaps. I just stay with it.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Just trust that it'll work itself out. All that you'll start to get more and more like desperate, and that's good. Allow that to occur, and just be willing to stay in touch. Just trust that it's moving you in a direction where you'll start to hear deeper prayer. And when you hear something that feels inspiring, when you start to feel guidance coming in for something really inspiring, even if it feels far out, just stay with it. Be open to miracles.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of times people say, "Oh, I need to be spiritual, and I'm not gonna, try to, all these desires." But we have all these desires unconsciously that we need to get in touch with.
Sometimes it's just realizing at that bottom point that I have everything. I bounced up to that, reaching the bottom, feeling trapped, and then realizing it's gratitude that I have everything.
Yeah.
And that's my new starting point.
Yeah.
Just kind of reverse.
Yeah. Sometimes that can be very.
Gratitude.
Those thoughts of just peace come in and help us out a lot, and yeah.
Yeah, I like to remind myself quite often that this it really is about present moment peace. And so all I have to really figure out is what's in the way of that in this moment. And it could be even trying to do something differently, or trying not to do something, or, it's like let all things be exactly as they are is where my peace lies. And that could even be in letting my thoughts be my thoughts, letting my emotions be my emotions. It's only sometimes even wanting to feel more peaceful is what's in the way of my peace.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Which is very strange. I remember when I first saw that, when I'm like, the only thing that's in the way of my peace of mind right now is wanting to feel more peaceful. What? That was a tricky one. So yeah, it's radical acceptance. Really, it's really just like, whoa, okay, what's going on? It's almost like you become just the observer without any judgment or guilt, or that's just that's a practice.
But the desire has to be there, though, right?
It is there. It's there for all of us, and it's just about it coming up into awareness. We're always either desiring to awaken or desiring to stay asleep, and when we start to feel desperate, then that's helping us to see that, okay, there's something I really want to find joy. I want to feel joyful, and then that'll kind of push up all that's in the way of that, and the desperation is part of that.
Yeah. I am feeling some of that. That's weird. I guess I'm supposed to be here today.
Yeah. Well, I think we went over time quite a bit, but
it's an
we're
hour
good.
and a half.
1:30.
Oh, 1:30. Okay, we've got a few more minutes, so
Keep going. Because I love you.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got one more song for you. Unless anybody has any burning desires, things they want to say.
Actually, I want to share, because the peaceful, like the irony in that kind of reminded me about the irony in my people-pleasing thing. my
I'm not going to put this.
So there's the people-pleasing thing with Living Miracles, and I have filled out this online volunteer form. I've been talking to them a little bit about doing some stuff with them, and so I have this slogan that's kind of like on the bottom of my email. It's kind of like my catchphrase. It's like happy to be helpful, and the story behind it was that it was like a sarcastic comment camping when we were camping one morning when everybody's still groggy and not woken up yet, and my wife asked me to do something. I was like, happy to be helpful, and then I stuck, and then I was like, well, you know what, really, I do like to be helpful, so, you know, I like to be, I should be happy about it, you know, in a way, so I kind of ran with it, and so I knew about the people-pleasing thing, and I took it off the emails that I was sending them, because I didn't want to be judged as a people-pleaser, so ironically, I was people-pleasing by not wanting to.
Still stuck with the same word.
Ego's tricky, so tricky.
You cannot solve a problem on the level at which it was created.
And ultimately, like the slogan itself, you know, like even though I think we kind of also discovered a little bit more that it's like about intent really behind it, you know, because if it is like if it's that like happy to be helpful, you know, like it's just like worthless, you know. But if there's like a loving intent and extension like behind if it's authentic, then it's not people pleasing. It took me to I defined it more, like kind of defined it more for me, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, when we're at the monastery, we go there as volunteers a lot, and you know, we're asked by those who are in charge, like, hey, could you go maybe clean the bathroom today, or something, you know, we're asked to do whatever, we're usually given certain functions, and almost always the first response is, F you, I don't want to go clean the bathroom, or like the ego, you know, always speaks loudest and speaks first, so it's always going to come up, and I don't want to be helpful, but just allowing that to come up first is necessary in order to actually feel the spirit then come up under it, and with the authentic desire to be helpful. So I think it's great when we start to just see that, no, I don't really want to be helpful. I'd rather be selfish. You know, that's always there, and we have to let that thought come into awareness to be authentic. You know, But yeah, we'll play a closing song that is a very beautiful song that Tamra received.
It was a lullaby to me from Spirit.
A lullaby from Spirit.
Allowing a lot of guilt and doubt thoughts and attack thoughts up, and I just kept playing these two notes that Erik had showed me how to play over and over and over, and this Spirit sang me a lullaby.
Yeah.
It just was so helpful.
Yeah, and we're going to be on the road for about another month or so, maybe a month and a half. And feel free to reach out to us. I have my card over there with my phone number and email, and we do a lot of private, you know, it's like private sessions with people who feel like they're going through something and they want to get some help or advice, or like prayer support, almost like, okay, I have this decision I need to make, and I'm not sure if I'm hearing the ego or the spirit. Can you pray with me and maybe help me discern? So, yeah, we do a lot of that, and we're always honored. It's always helpful for us, so feel free to reach out. And maybe we'll be back through here at some point, too. So you can just close your eyes if you feel to, and let this sink in. This dream you dream is not the truth. I've come here to awaken you. Wake up, my child, the time has come for you to know that we are one. You can relax your mind and put your hand right into mine as I love you. I love you. me in the sun. Remember love and have some fun. Your holiness awaits you. Give up the lies and know the truth. Your heart is big, your mind is strong. Heaven is where you belong. The doubts and all the fears, God's love is waiting here. And I love you. I love you. I love you. Yes, I love you. I love you. I love you.
Thank you all so much. We talked.